This is Texas. With a population of around 32 million people, it's the second largest and one of the fastest growing states in the US. But what many people don't know is that most of its population, economy, and growth are concentrated in one specific region. It's called the Texas Triangle. Formed by Dallas and Fort Worth in the north, Houston to the east, with Austin and San Antonio to the west, this region covers less than a third of Texas's land area. Yet it's home to over 70% of the state's population and an even larger share of its economic output. Now, these are still all separate cities with their own identities and economies, but the gaps between them are shrinking more and more every year. Development is filling in, highways are turning into continuous corridors of growth, and together the Texas Triangle is starting to function less like a collection of separate cities and more like one massive interconnected mega-region. So, how did this happen? Why did Texas end up concentrating so much of its growth into this triangle, instead of one dominant city or a single coast? To understand this, you have to go back to the mid-19th century. When Texas officially joined the United States in 1845, it had a population of only around 125,000 people, and most people lived in small towns and rural areas. And unlike older states such as Massachusetts and New York, where cities like Boston and New York City had already emerged as dominant urban centers, Texas never had that single overpowering geographic advantage that could naturally pull a majority of the states into one place. Instead, Texas urbanized during the railroad era, which led to the rise of multiple strategic cities, each strong in a different way. In the north, Dallas-Fort Worth emerged as a rail crossroads. Rail lines from the Midwest, the Great Plains, and the Southwest all converged here, turning it into a center for trade, finance, and distribution even without a major port. To the southeast, Houston initially grew mainly due to its water access. The construction of the Houston Ship Channel in the early 20th century connected inland Texas directly to global shipping routes. That single project transformed Houston into one of the most important ports in the country, and later the energy capital of the US. Meanwhile, San Antonio and Austin developed along older settlement routes. San Antonio became a military and logistics center, anchored by forts and later major bases. Austin, which was chosen as the state capital, gained political power, stability, and eventually a massive public university that would shape its future economy. For the latter half of the 19th century, these cities grew largely independently and served different parts of the state. This continued into the 20th century. In the year 1900, no city in Texas had even 60,000 people. And the state as a whole grew steadily from around 3 million to 6.4 million by 1940. But this is also around the time where things really started to change. After World War II, Texas, like most other states in the South and West, embraced the automobile heavily. The construction of the interstate highway system fundamentally reshaped the state. I-35 connected Dallas-Fort Worth to Austin and San Antonio. I-45 linked Dallas directly to Houston. I-10 tied Houston and San Antonio into a larger east-west corridor. What had once been long, slow journeys between cities became routine drives. At the same time, air conditioning made the South more livable, and Texas began receiving a surge of new residents, nearly doubling its population between 1940 and 1970. In just a few decades, cities like Houston, Dallas, and San Antonio had become some of the largest in the country. These cities also developed very differently from older urban centers that grew before the automobile. Land was abundant, land use regulations were relatively permissive, and growth happened outward rather than upward. Instead of concentrating development into dense urban cores, Texas allowed low-density suburbs to spread across vast areas. As a result, the main metro areas became massive in size. For example, Dallas and Fort Worth effectively merged together into one metroplex back in the 80s, and now covers approximately 9,300 square miles, making it larger than the entire state of New Jersey. Cities only work because of invisible systems, power grids, water pipes, data networks, You don't always think about them until something breaks. And the internet works the same way. That is why today's video is sponsored by NordVPN. I use NordVPN because it encrypts all of your internet traffic. So even if you're on a sketchy Wi-Fi, your data is unreadable to anyone else on the network. It also hides your IP address, which means websites and third parties can't easily track where you're connecting from. I also use it when researching cities and infrastructure abroad. With one click, I can switch my location and see how local news sites, pricing, or content looks from different countries without sacrificing speed. NordVPN works on up to 10 devices, has thousands of servers worldwide, and includes built-in threat protection that blocks malicious sites, trackers, and ads automatically. If you want to try it, the best deal is through my link. Go to nordvpn.com/architales. That's nordvpn.com/architales. Or click the link in the description. You'll get a huge discount on a 2-year plan plus 4 extra months for free, and it's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Again, that's nordvpn.com/architales. Now back to the video. Growth continued into the 21st century, with Austin emerging as a tech and innovation hub, fueled by the University of Texas, a growing startup scene, and major corporate investments. This added a new dimension to the triangle, a high-growth knowledge economy positioned directly between Dallas-Fort Worth and San Antonio. Today, Texas has 5 of the top 15 most populated cities in the country, and all of them are located inside the triangle. And what's interesting is that none of them truly dominate. While Houston is by far the largest if we measure by city proper, at 2.4 million people, Dallas-Fort Worth is the largest metro area at 8.3 million. It just shows that each city is important in its own way, and that they also complement each other. If you would draw a line connecting Dallas-Fort Worth, Houston, San Antonio, and Austin, you're linking a region of more than 20 million people, larger than the population of most countries. You're connecting one of the world's largest energy capitals, a booming tech hub, major military installations, multiple international airports, and some of the fastest growing suburban counties in the nation. And I'm not saying that this region is literally growing together into one massive city, but the space between them is no longer empty. Along I-35, development now stretches almost continuously from San Antonio through Austin and toward Dallas-Fort Worth, with towns like New Braunfels, San Marcos growing rapidly, increasingly tied into the larger urban economies around them. In fact, San Antonio and Austin are projected to soon merge into their own mega region and reach a population of 8.3 million by 2050, as many people as Dallas-Fort Worth has today. And between Austin and Fort Worth, there's Temple, which grew from 82,799 residents in 2020 to over 100,000 by 2026, an increase of 24.4%. Waco is also growing at a steady pace. Additionally, 8 out of the top 10 fastest growing cities in the US are located in either the Houston or Dallas-Fort Worth metro areas. And they continue to expand in all directions with new suburban developments and logistics centers. As the cities within the triangle continue to grow, the way the state functions as a whole is beginning to shift. For example, many companies now distribute their operations across multiple cities, rather than concentrating everything in one place. They might place headquarters in Austin like Tesla and Oracle, energy operations in Houston, and corporate offices, finance, and logistics in Dallas and Fort Worth, all within a few hours of each other. There's also the transportation angle. Over 175,000 people already travel daily between the major metros, heavily relying on the I-35 and I-45. But as this internal network becomes more integrated, congestion worsens and the pressure to physically connect them more efficiently has only grown. In the early 2010s, Texas Central Railway proposed a 240-mile high-speed rail line between Houston and Dallas. Modeled after Japan's Shinkansen system, the train would travel at speeds of up to 200 miles per hour, cutting travel time between the two cities to about 90 minutes. While the project has recently been deemed shovel-ready, construction hasn't yet started due to political opposition, land disputes, and funding challenges. We have also seen similar proposals for a high-speed rail between San Antonio and Austin. But whether high-speed rail gets built or not almost misses the bigger point. The Texas Triangle already functions like a mega region, economically, demographically, and strategically. This doesn't come without challenges though. Long distances, heavy car dependence, rising congestion, infrastructure strain, and increasingly housing affordability concerns as development continues to push outward. The question now is whether the model that built this region can continue to scale indefinitely, or whether the next phase of growth will require a different approach. Thank you for watching.